Hello everybody, David Shuster here. Democrat Jared Moskowitz of Florida just used a House hearing on federal prisons to bust Donald Trump and his administration, and the takedown over Trump's desire to reopen Alcatraz was hilarious.
First of all, have you been to Alcatraz recently? It literally is it's a rust box walking around. You need a tetanus shot just to go into the building. Do we still give tetanus shots, or has RFK gotten rid of those? I can't keep up.
The congressman's comedic insults came a day after Donald Trump stood in the Oval Office next to the National Football League Commissioner Roger Goodell and said that he, Trump, wanted Alcatraz, which currently stands as a museum, to be turned back into a federal penitentiary.
Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies.
Yes, there have been movies about Alcatraz, and Moskowitz used Donald Trump's reference to movies to theorize about how and why Donald Trump came up with this idea now.
Listen, where did the president get this idea all of a sudden? Right? Where did he get the idea? Perhaps he was watching Escape from Alcatraz, right? And I brought boards because some people are visual learners. Perhaps he was watching Escape from Alcatraz by Clint Eastwood. Actually, funny part about that, it was actually on television in South Florida. It was on PBS South Florida over the weekend when Trump was at Mar-a-Lago. In fact, he made his announcement just hours after it aired.
It's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
And of course, look, this is just another distraction to divert attention away from the tariffs or rising prices or the struggle on Main Street. But since we're having a hearing on prisons, it's lucky timing for me. So, 3 times more expensive than any prison to operate in 1959, Alcatraz was. Okay? It needs about $250 million to shore up the infrastructure and utilities. All food and water has to be barged in, sewage has to be barged out. The facility is almost 100 years old. And so I don't get it. In the days of Doge, where we're cutting budgets, we got to find savings. Now we're going to what? We're going to cut Medicaid and SNAP so that we can pour money into Alcatraz.
It's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world.
And then the president's really excited about these sharks. Right? He's talking about all the sharks and the person escaped. He lost his clothing.
Nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up. And it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems.
So, sharks, they don't have laser beams on. They don't have laser beams, but maybe the sharks are going to be there. So this is just all ridiculous.
It sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak.
But then all of a sudden after that, we heard we're going to tariff the movies. Well, hold on a second. Why would we tariff the movies? This is where the president is getting his ideas from. We can't tariff the policy idea making of the presidency. And look, I know what my colleagues are going to say. They're going to say, Jared, just let the president cook. This is 4D chess he's playing. And I'm going to say, maybe he's just watching late night movies. Perhaps he's just watching late night movies. In fact, we're told he got this movie tariff idea from no other than Jon Voight, the guy who was in that great movie Anaconda. I don't know if you've seen that. And so this is the ridiculousness that's going on. So I want to end with this. Mr. Pearl, you run a faith-based organization, right? No? Oh, it's Mr. Wild, you run the faith-based organization. Sorry. You think it's a good idea to reopen Alcatraz? You think the faith-based community has been pounding the table to reopen Alcatraz?
Prison Fellowship's stance is that prisons should be safe, effective, efficient, and uphold human dignity.
Okay, let me make it easier for you. All 4 of you, which one of you think we should reopen Alcatraz? Just raise your hand. Okay, so for my colleagues who sometimes, are a little slow, no one raised their hand, okay? Nobody, not a single witness. None of your witnesses here think we should reopen Alcatraz. And so, We have real problems in the prison system. It does need reform. It does need money. We can work on that together. But the president puts out Alcatraz as a distraction.
But it's a distraction that several Republican lawmakers and members of the Trump administration now embrace. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi and White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt both insist that reopening Alcatraz would send the right message about crime. Bondi says that rebuilding Alcatraz would save the Bureau of Prisons money. How does Bondi claim that? Well, she doesn't say. And in fact, analysts insist that to rebuild Alcatraz would cost northwards of $300 million. And then operating Alcatraz on a daily basis where everything needs to be shipped in and shipped out, that would make Alcatraz the most expensive prison in the United States. And never mind all of that, there are the potential lawsuits. You see, Alcatraz and that island are federally protected landmarks. They're part of the historic registry, and changing that could open up the Trump administration to lawsuits, say from the tourism businesses that make tens of millions of dollars each year, taking people to the island where they see the museum. In other words, this is going to take years, even if Donald Trump wants to pursue this.
Alcatraz, pretty forbidding, frigid place, housed Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, Mickey Cohen, but it'd have to be rebuilt almost entirely. It's so outdated and crumbling.
But some Democrats say they are ready to make a deal. They say that they are willing to support Donald Trump's reopening Alcatraz if Trump, a convicted felon and adjudicated rapist, is the first prisoner. By the way, Donald Trump keeps saying things that are raising more concerns about his mental health, and those things include lashing out repeatedly now at the Wall Street Journal.
Who are you with? The Wall Street Journal. That's right. Well, you people treat us so badly. Wall Street Journal has truly gone to hell. Go ahead. It's a rotten newspaper. You hear me? What I said? It's a rotten newspaper.
Are there any updates and talks with
I wouldn't tell the Wall Street Journal because it'd be wasting my time. There are talks, but I don't want to talk to the Wall Street Journal. But look, Wall Street Journal is China-oriented, and they're really bad for this.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Terry, who writes, "His mental acuity trumps clearly declines every day. Anyone else would have already been removed from office." I hear ya. I look forward to reading your comments about Congressman Jared Moskowitz mocking Donald Trump's sudden interest in Alcatraz.
Maybe he was watching The Rock with Sean Connery. You know this one. This is where Sean Connery goes back to Alcatraz because he originally escaped Alcatraz and he needed like an expert on chemical weapons. Maybe the president was just Netflixing and chilling, like watching The Rock, which is not to be confused with The Rock, right? That's a different person.
I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.